Namaskar. I would like to start a series of classes explaining the entire body of spiritual practices. When I was younger, I asked from I was approaching my spiritual teacher, Acharya, to get a new lesson of meditation, to upgrade my practice. And he asked me, are you following 16 points? I never knew what is 16 points. And then I asked Dada, what is 16 points? He said, 16 points. He said something that intrigued me, that made me very, very interested. He said, 16 points is an injunction, is an instruction to achieve moksha, to achieve spiritual liberation. I thought, wow, there is such an injunction, there is such an instruction. This is really cool. I must know it and I must practice it. It's like you buy a new gadget. For example, we purchased 3 months ago, we purchased the camera to record meditation steps. And it is, modern device, so complicated. There are so many functions, so many things you can do with it. And then normally I don't like to read all those things. I like to go intuitively, discovering things. But in this case, I have to read it. And to utilize the device properly, to utilize the entire potential of the device, I must learn the device and I must read the manual. So similarly, for the human body and human mind, there is such a manual. And if you learn how to utilize the body and mind, you can really get the optimal performance. You can get, happiness. You can get this, inner fullness, the ability to express, to say something to the world. And this is really inspiring. And even within 3 days of practice, of really hard and sincere practice of these 16 points, you can feel yourself completely different. This I have observed during, actually I read somewhere in the book, my master said that yoga practice is so powerful that within 3 days a complete transformation occurs with a man. I mean, with a human being, with a man or with a woman. And I saw it with my own eyes. We go for the retreat, we go for the gathering, and we really hard. We practice hard. And within 3 days, we are completely different. There is a complete different flow. So if a person practices 16 points in a daily life, he very quickly attains saintliness, saintlyhood. We can roughly divide 16 points into halves, first 8 and the second 8. The first 8 is there to control the lower tendencies of the mind and to cultivate the health and happiness of the body, to maintain a proper hormonal balance in the body. And the second portion of the 16 points is for the intuitional and spiritual development. But it is interesting that our spiritual master, Shrii Shrii Anandamurti, he has really placed a great emphasis on the first 8 points. It wasn't like, human being is doing many mistakes. But he would be so hard. He would spend so much time. He would scold the disciples. He would do everything in his power to really to instill the idea that you must follow these practices. It works like this. You work really hard in meditation. It's a work. And you earn a very precious spiritual energy. That spiritual energy can be converted into anything. It can be converted into creativity. If you're full with that spiritual energy, you know, I want to say something. You don't know what you want to say, but it's there. And if you start to say, you will say. If you start to paint, you will paint. If you start to compose the music, you will compose. So you can convert it into creativity. You can convert it even into the higher intuitional knowledge. You can convert it into effulgence, into charisma, into everything, you name it. But that energy is so rare and so precious, and you can earn it through meditation. The more meditation you do, the more spiritual energy you earn. But that energy can also be converted into the crude instincts of the human mind. And those crude instincts, they just, they suck so much energy. In a moment, your entire energy is gone. So to avoid that, we have to learn the control. We have to learn how to make the strong lower centers of the human body, and how to control the lower instincts of the human mind. For that, the first portion of 16 points is very, very necessary. So I will start to explain. The first point is how you go toilet. Such a spiritual thing, but actually it is. It is a spiritual thing. You go toilet, you urinate, you defecate. After that, there must be cleaning process. So we apply water. Pour the water over the genital organ and wash properly everything. The two things are achieved in that process. One is purification. Another one is cooling down. Cooling down is very important. Heat creates movement. Heat is an energy. It creates movement, agitation. So there is an agitation. After you go to toilet, the heat is created. And there is an agitation. That agitation you don't notice. And this is the point. You don't notice. For example, if you would become, some instincts awakes, you become, for example, sexually aroused, you can still consciously control it. You can still divert the mind. You can start to repeat the mantra. You can divert the mind towards the high pursuits. But here, when you go to toilet and there is a slight heat, slight agitation, the nerve sends that agitation to the brain, and brain understands the agitation is here, and the energy starts to flow downwards. But it's like a little tiny drainage. During the whole day, many times you go to toilet, and there is a little by little, and you don't notice it, and you cannot control it, but the energy is gone. So many people, they say, "Oh, Dada, I don't have inspiration for practice, for meditation." How can you have inspiration? Because your entire energy is going somewhere and you don't even notice it. So this is a very tricky thing. So one is a big thing in life. Really. I tell from my experience, is a big thing in life. You close down that wastage of energy with a very, very simple practice. Extremely simple. And you will feel a different man from that. Because the mind starts to store the energy. From that energy you feel, I want to do something. I want to become something great in life. Not just live mediocre life. I really feel so much joy with that. With such a simple thing, you can change the entire life. So let's practice it. Every time you go to toilet, you pour the cold water over the genital organ. It should be cold. Some people, especially sisters, women, they're afraid that if it is too cold, maybe I get cold. Then you experiment. Try to get lukewarm, then colder and colder. For myself, I find that the colder, the better. I really feel good. After cooling down, my mind, nice feeling. So pour the cold water. Also after defecation, clean very, very properly. It's like 3,000 years ago in the Roman civilization, they already knew how to clean. So in the 21st century, some people do, and some people don't. And I think it is a shame we don't do. So clean properly, cool down properly. And also, when we are not in home and we don't have facilities, we carry a bottle of water with us. And then if we happen to go to toilet, use that bottle of water to clean ourselves properly. And that bottle is called Shaucha Manjusa. It means bottle of saintliness and purity. Beautiful name. The bottle of saintliness. Wow, so nice. I keep with myself. And keep that bottle always with you, somewhere in the bag or in the pocket. I'm sure if you use that practice for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I cannot imagine you could go without it. Especially if you observe the mental effects. Because many times people just concerned with the purity, with the cleanliness, but not concerned with the effect on the mind. But there is a huge effect on the mind. Also, I didn't tell about the energies. It is believed that there are subtle energies, physically not yet perceived. I think when science develops, they will find out all those energies. But for now, only the seers, only the yogis, only the mystics, they are able to perceive those energies. In the past, they would call them pretayonis, devayonis, subtle beings. Actually, is a part of nature. So, negative energy is drawn towards where there is impurity. And positive energy likes to stay with the purity and beauty. So, when we go to toilet, without noticing it, there is some drop of water comes out of the body and stays with the underwear, and you understand. And it decomposes and it attracts the negative energy. Also without us noticing it. You don't notice it because the mind changes without you noticing it. And there are vrittis. If you don't know what it is, you check the course on biopsychology. There are tendencies of the mind. In each chakra, there are a certain number of tendencies. And each of those tendencies, it can have a positive expression, it can have a negative expression. For example, like here, in this center, there is a tendency of practicality. I want to do something practical. It means I want to leave the imprint in the society, on the planet Earth. And under the positive energy, this vritti expresses like, I want to do something good, significant, leave the imprint. But under the influence of the negative energy, also concrete, it is a cause of vandalism. I will write my name on the beautiful wall, something like that. Destroy something beautiful. That is also expression of the Vishuddha chakra, but under the influence of negative energy. And that depends on the lifestyle, on the habits. If the mind and body is kept completely in purity, you will never have this idea, I want to destroy something. Never, it is not possible to happen. Also here, at this center, the second center, there are positive and negative expressions of the vrittis. For example, there is a vritti of indifference. That vritti of indifference, you may be indifferent towards the physical comforts. You are not attached to the physical world. Everything is fine. You are happy everywhere. But under the negative influence, you become indifferent towards the spirituality. You don't care. And you become humanly indifferent. You don't feel for the suffering of others. You don't understand their emotions. You don't care their emotions. And then this is very common thing, because partly because nobody does this practice, because then so much negative energy is concentrated in the lower centers. So let us avoid this situation, and let us become better human beings, and let us really enjoy the higher consciousness. So this is one fantastic practice. You can start very easily. It's not like it takes any energy and nothing. So easy. You can start doing from today itself. Thank you very much. Namaskar.